in like your abilities and your vision. Like, you have a unique vision, because if you don't, nobody else will. Like, no one else is going to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself. You need to talk about your work as if it's like you're so in love with it and you're so passionate about it.
Ah! Hell to the no. Why are you doing this to me, you rude bitch? Oh. Oh, no. Hey, you guys. Welcome back to my channel. So, I feel very inspired this morning. I hope you guys are all doing well, first of all. But I'm feeling very inspired this morning. I have like an hour before I'm supposed to meet my friends for lunch. We're going to a creperie, which I actually got fired from like 5 years ago. So that should be fun. Another story for another day. But yeah, anyway, I wanted to film sort of like a sit down impromptu video talking about like my experience so far being a full-time artist. Since it's been about a year since I've been a full-time artist, I want to talk about maybe like some things I've learned. Also talk a lot about confidence, because I feel like it's honestly like one of the biggest keys, and a lot of people always ask me about like my journey as an artist and things like that. So yeah, I thought that I would talk about it a little bit. So for those of you guys who don't know me, I feel bad for you. No, just kidding. No, for those of you guys who don't know me, I finished art school, my master's degree, back in June. So I've only been out of school for like not even a full year. But I honestly like, and one of the biggest tips that I can give you guys is don't wait to start something. Like, don't wait to finish your studies. Don't wait for somebody to give you the green light to do something. That's one of the things that I always like I really loved my experience in my art school for the most part. But one of the things that I did find a little bit dommage, as we'd say in French, is we never really spoke about like money, how to make money, how to be successful. I actually had one teacher tell me that like, honestly, if you're gonna be an artist and you're gonna make it, you're just gonna make it. Like, no matter, like, it's just gonna depend on your personality. And I was like, okay, well, I will take that advice and think about it, because that means nothing. I think like one of the things that I realized when I decided to go back to school when I came back to France is I was like, look, like, go back to school and have fun, but at the same time, like, don't count on this degree to get you a job, you know what I mean? Like, you need to be a self-starter, and that's the biggest tip that I can give you guys, I think, and like to give any young artist is like, say for example you want to be like a writer, or you want to like start a zine. Like, don't wait, don't just like send yourself don't just send your stuff off for other people to put in their things. Like, be the one that starts the magazine, be the one that starts the podcast, be the one that curates art shows. I think that like, unfortunately, a lot of times we wait for other people to open doors for us, and we wait for like these gatekeepers to give us permission to be the people that we want to be in life, when in reality, like, you need to be doing the most. Like, you need to be doing on your end, almost like in a sort of like punk rebel type way. Like, I'm not gonna wait for the system to accept me. I am going to like do my own thing in such a way that like the people who are in the system take notice of you, because they're like, oh, well, like, this person is doing interesting things on their own. They're not waiting, you know, because I feel like this is the problem. Also, this video is not scripted, so sorry if it's all over the place. I feel like the problem is that everyone is sort of like, for example, when you finish art school, everyone's in sort of the same position. Everyone is bourré de talent. Like, everyone has so much talent. And so like, they're just like applying for these things, but you're all like in the same boat. But if you set yourself apart and say like, okay, I'm gonna be the one to find like new media and new ways to like sell my art, and like try to connect to like people who could enjoy what I do. Because here's the thing, there are always gonna be people that connect to your art. It's just the question of being able to find them. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. I've been so lucky no, scratch that. I don't like the word luck because it's not luck. It's like literally like it's because of steps that I did. So yeah, I'll just like wanted to say that first of all. Jesus, already 10 minutes in, sweetheart. Also, do you guys like my bohawk? My hair is finally long enough for me to put it in buns. So anyway, if you were to take one thing away from this video, I just want you, whatever your dream is in life, to start now and don't wait for other people to give you permission to do that thing, because they're not going to. Like, no one is gonna come up to you in the street and be like, oh my god, like, do you want to be an artist? Like, you look like you could be an artist. I used to like imagine that when I was younger, like when I was in high school, not even high school, like younger, like middle school. I used to want to be like an actress. I don't know, I just did. And I used to like imagine I'd be like walking the mall and someone would like walk up to me and they're like, oh my god, you look like you can act. But that's not the reality. And what's the fun in that either? I think another thing that's like really helped me is along my journey is I've always had like a really big problem with authority. I know it might not seem like it because I'm like so nice. No, I know it might seem like that, but I just remember like I just hate the idea of like a system where people tell you how to do things. Like, I've always loved looking for loopholes. Like, that's why I moved abroad so young, and like I think I just realized that there's 1000 façons de cuire un œuf. Like, there's 1,000 ways to cook an egg. There's a million different ways to get things done. And so maybe in your current circumstance, you're sitting there like, okay, like I want to be a full-time artist and I want to get my art out there, but like I don't know anybody. Where are people going to find my art? Like, what am I going to do? You know? And so maybe like, and then especially like if you live in a country where like there isn't like a big art scene or things like that, you might be like, what the fuck? Like, what am I going to do? So your way to cook the egg isn't going to be the same way as my way to cook an egg, if you know what I mean. Like, you might not be like going to art school and doing all that stuff. But what can you do? Like, there are creatives and people all around the world that are just like waiting to connect to what you do. And so like maybe you, for example, like I know this one artist and she lives in another country, and she said that like she does like digital art, and she said that there's not a lot of people where she lives that do that. So she like found other people online that do that, and they started like this little collective thing. That, not a little collective thing, they started a fucking collective, you know? And so that was a very cool and alternative way to do that. Like, I think it's so important, and I just want to like stress this so much. Do not give up. Be a self-starter. Do the when you want to do something, you do the damn thing. And I think that it's really important as well to write out your goals. Y'all know I love to vision board. That's my shit. And all of my vision boards have come true. And I don't think it's because of some magic. I think it's literally because I'm super specific about it. I look at it every day and it motivates me. I think the difficult thing in life isn't getting to a certain goal or achieving a certain goal. I think that it is knowing what you want and being specific about it, because how can you reach a goal if you don't know what you want to do? Like, how can you think of the steps to get there if you have no fucking idea what you actually want to do? It's like, some people, I think like this is a really big problem, is some people can be so vague about it. Like, I want to be a full-time artist, but what does that mean to you? You know, because there's a million different ways to be an artist. Like, do you want to be like somebody that does like music videos? Like, that's something that for a while I was thinking about, because people were asking me to do music videos for them, and I was like, that doesn't like really interest me. Do you want to sell your original art? Do you want to sell prints? Do you want to be a performance artist and be paid to go to establishments and do performance art? Like, what do you want to do, you know? And if you don't know, then there's no way for you to get to that certain goal. So I think like when I decided that like, okay, I'm gonna like lance myself, that's not the word, launch myself into this, I think that was the first thing, is like figuring out what do I want my life as an artist to look like, and then from there I can work backwards and like see like what are the steps to get there. So I knew like before I wanted to like start this before I finished art school, because like I really didn't like the idea of finishing and just being like, what am I doing now? Like, I like the idea of getting ahead of myself, and I think that's really important as well, like I said, to start as soon as you can. So like, I know for me personally, like when I decided like, okay, I'm gonna try to be an artist full time, I want like my revenue to come from my art, and then if I do extra things as well, like sometimes I'll do sponsor videos and things like that, that's great, but I don't want to like rely on YouTube in that way. And I feel so lucky to do YouTube. It's obviously like a really great way as well for people to like discover what I'm doing in my art. But yeah, I decided that for me personally, my idea of success would be to have like a bunch of different revenue streams as far as like my art goes. Like, I don't want to just rely on selling original pieces, because I felt like if I did that, then there would be pressure to make like a certain type of art. Like, there's a certain type of my art that sells. Like, people really like these type of pieces, like the sculpture paintings. And I didn't want to be like, okay, like I have to churn those out just so I can like make ends meet. I knew that like I wanted to be a combination of things, so that way I stay stimulated creatively, and if one thing isn't working, then I can always rely on the other income streams. And one of the things that I think I really thought about as well is how to create an income stream an income stream that sort of, I do the work once and it keeps coming in. For example, my poetry book. So actually my poetry book was my memoir for school. So like I had already finished it, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna release it as well. So that was really great, and I learned a lot in that process. And the process of making that first book has helped me in the process of working on this second book. So, oh no, don't, ah! My plant, fuck. Are you mad at me? Okay, I'm switching over to my iPhone 5. I know, I hate this fucking camera, but I had to do this because my camera died, and I feel like I was sort of like on a roll. So sorry if like the audio is really shitty, if everything's really shitty, but I feel like we're getting into the good stuff. I have 30 minutes before I have to go, so actually more like 20. So I'm just gonna like get into the rest of it. So hold on. So something that I think is really important at first is to start with one revenue stream, because I think it can be like super overwhelming if you're like, okay, maybe you've decided that you as well want to be like a multimedia artist and you don't want to rely on one thing to get you through, because honestly, like, yeah, like I personally feel like that's the best way to do things, because otherwise like it's just putting so much pressure on yourself, so much pressure on your art. So yeah, I first started by starting to sell like original art pieces, just because it was like one of the easiest things for me to start, because I was in art school at the time. I was already like producing pieces, and so like if people contacted me through Instagram before wanting to buy something, I would always say no, because I was so fucking stupid actually that I would say no, because I was like, I can't sell you my art because I'm saving it for my diploma show, which is like, dude, the reason why you're making art is so you can like share it with people. So I started by like selling my art, my original pieces, and I think it's really hard at first to like know how much like to sell your work for. And there's like different formulas that you can use. You can decide by the size of the work, or you can decide just like intuitive, like you make the rules, baby, like you make the rules. Personally, the way that I do it is I think of a number that I would be willing to separate this from this piece with. And like obviously it's not going to be like $10,000 for like a tiny small piece or anything like that, but I really like everything that I make for the most part. And so I think to myself, like, what is the number that like I would be willing to let go? Because I think as well as artists, it's really hard sometimes to let go of our pieces, because it's like a piece of your soul that you're letting go of, you know? So yeah, that was the first revenue stream that I started with, and that was more of like a slow start, because obviously like not everyone has money to put into original work. And if you're somebody that maybe you don't have like a réseau, like maybe you don't have like a way for people to find your art, you can do like art fairs, you can do collective shows, like try to organize shows with your friends and I feel like every time I say something, I have to defend it. Like, but what if, like, they don't have friends? You know what I mean? But what if, like, this? Maybe, for example, you don't have friends and you want to do, like, an art show. Find people, like, find open calls. Like, and little by little, that way you can create your like, you can create your sort of connections. But also, like, we're in the internet age. Try to find people online. Like, use your Instagram, if you don't have a YouTube channel, think about starting one. I think it's a really great way. Like, I haven't personally used my YouTube channel as, like, only doing art studio vlogs or anything like that. But honestly, it's a really great way for people to discover your art. I think that another thing that we don't talk about a lot is, like, you know, there's a part of us, I think, and all of us that think, like, am I legitimate and wanting and believing that I can, like, go full time with this? You know, like, who the hell am I to think that, like, I could do this? But like I said, like, honestly, you need to believe in yourself and, like, your abilities and your vision. Like, you have a unique vision, and like I said, there's so many people that want to connect to it, because if you don't, nobody else will. Like, no one else is going to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself. You need to talk about your work as if it's, like, you're so in love with it and you're so passionate about it. And I talked about this in my last vlog, but, like, I look at the art studio as, like, a laboratory, not a factory. Like, I don't ever do commissions. Like, I won't, if someone's like, can you make me, like, this sort of painting? It's like, no, because that's not, like, my heart and my soul isn't there to, like, produce just, like, I'm not a factory. Like, I do what I do, and if you like it, you can buy it, and if you don't, that's okay, you know? Yeah, I think that every time you start a new revenue stream, you build confidence, because you're like, okay, like, I have this. And at the beginning of last year, when I knew, like, I was finishing art school, I made a list of, like, all of the ideas that I had and all the ways that were like, considered an artist that I could make money. Just, like, personally, that's what feeds me, is, like, and that's where I get energy from, is, like, collaboration and also just doing a bunch of different things. So selling the original art was my first revenue stream, and it was also something that I could do while I was at school. So that was a really good thing. And then I released my poetry book, and this is, like, releasing books, even, like, for example, maybe you're not a writer, but if you know, if you have art that people like, you can make a book of, like, your art prints, for example. You know what I mean? And you put the work in one time, and then you let it go into the universe. And then you say, hey guys, I have a book in case you are interested. You know what I mean? And that is a really great way. And releasing my book was really what, like, propelled me into being able to be a full-time artist. But also, I knew that, like, okay, you release a book and there's, like, a lot of hype around it at first, but eventually, like, that does die down. So that was my second revenue stream as an artist. The third that I began was doing art prints, and this was, like, probably the best and smartest and the best thing that I've done, and it's the way that I make, like, the most money as an artist now every month. Like, that's, like, I would say at least, like, 50% comes from that, because you can price art prints reasonably. Like, not everyone has the money to spend, like, thousands of dollars on an original piece, but an art print, a beautiful art print, do I have any that I can show you guys? Hold on. Is something that people can actually afford, and then you hand sign it, and, like, I like to put, like, a poem on the back or affirmations, things like that. It makes it really special, you know? And you can even, but like, one of the big mistakes that I made at first is that I was just releasing, like, one print every couple of months, and which was not so smart, because, you know, if you release a print every month and you make it special, and you have your same customers come back, and it makes it so that you have a more steady revenue stream. I don't know why I thought, like, oh, I can only release a print, like, every couple months. So, and also I would do it when it's like, oh, well, once it's sold out, I'm never going to release the print again, which is really dumb, because I wasn't selling them at a price that justified them being such limited editions. Like, if you have a print and it's really limited edition and you're never going to bring it back, like $20 isn't enough, because that means it's like never coming back. In reality, I think it's good to always have prints in stock. Now, for example, if I don't release a print, I'll still, make money from it, because people know that I have prints in my shop. Maybe they're saving up for their birthday or something like that, maybe for a gift. So that was my third revenue stream, and it wasn't until like half the year was over that I realized, like, oh, when I release a print, like, my revenue goes up way more, because it drives like hype around that new print. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna really try to release a print like at least once every 2 months, make it special. And so that was my third revenue stream as an artist. And at this point, I was like making enough for it to be like full-time and like keep building on that. Like, I think one of the most important things that I learned is like, you need to keep coming out with like new products, like keep releasing new ways for people to support you, because if people like your work, they want to keep supporting you. When I like an artist, I'm not just gonna buy their print once. I'm gonna like keep up with their shop, like, and that goes for like designers, that goes for everybody. I think the most difficult part for maybe you guys watching is like just like how to get the word out there, because obviously, like, I know having a YouTube channel and having followers, like, I realize that makes it a lot easier for people to like find my work. But I didn't start out with a YouTube channel. I didn't start out with Instagram followers. That was something that I built over time. So I think that if you ask yourself, like, okay, how am I going to find the people? I think that's really important. Who is going to connect to my art, and how am I going to find them? And ask yourself that. Like, I know a lot of artists that make a living, but they don't necessarily have like Instagram followers or YouTube or anything like that. They just like, well, actually, most of them do have Instagram, but maybe it'll be like only Instagram. You know what I mean? So ask yourself, like, who are the people that are going to connect to my art? How can they find me? And like I said, start with one thing. And once you have that one thing, add another thing. And try to think of like what's sustainable for myself as well. Like, there were months when like I couldn't release a print and things like that. And so like, honestly, like what I'm doing now is trying to make art and products. For example, like my journal that I'm designing, I want to like create mini journals, because I think that they could help you guys, but also it's something that I can do once and then just like release it into the world. And I think it's good to have like a balance of those types of things, like, and also play. Like, it's so important to still have time to have like time with yourself alone in your studio and create things. Like, you're not a factory. The reason why we want to be artists is because we want to share our vision with the world. And it's, that's why I think it's so difficult sometimes with like being an artist and the whole money thing. And I think that we incorrectly sometimes decide to vilify money, because it's like, if money wasn't here, then I wouldn't have to worry about like having to work to support my art, to do this and that. But in reality, if you can change your mindset around money and think of money as a tool, then I think that you can actually use it to your advantage. I also want to stress like the importance of not caring what people think about you. At the beginning, everyone is like gonna struggle a little bit. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna put things out that you don't like. You're going to make art that you think is shitty. Like, but that doesn't matter. Like, really have to stress this. Like, if you can't accept failure and like the idea that you might put something out that makes you look dumb or like your work is shitty, then don't do it, because you really have to let go of the ego, because you're gonna fail. Whether you're a designer, whether you're a writer, you're gonna put something out that people don't like. I always go back to this idea from like Fight Club. Like, I saw this really amazing analysis on the main character, Tyler Durden, and why he's so confident. Like, why is he so confident in what he's doing and his vision? How does he just not give a shit what people think about him? But in reality, the idea is not to stop caring what people think about us. It's to care about something more than caring what people think about us. Like, if you can care about your art and your vision to be like a full-time artist more than people judging you or being like, oh, look, she's like put out this thing and it didn't work. If you can care about your vision more then you will succeed. You are a relentless creator. You are, me giving you guys affirmations, you guys are fucking gonna go to the top if you just stay consistent and keep putting work out, you know what I mean? I honestly feel like the people that succeed aren't the people that are the most talented. They're the people that believe in themselves and keep showing up. And I believe in you guys so much. So yeah, I just wanted to like share some of the things some ideas that I have around confidence, and also just like sort of like how I got started, because you know, especially when you're first starting out, it's really hard. You can't just like jump in and be like, oh, I'm gonna like make all of my money from art. You know what I mean? Like you can start with small things. Start building your réseau. The word in French is réseau. Start building your connections and go from there. And maybe at first you need to have like a part-time job, or you need to, you know, and that's fine as well. Like I know a lot of artists that prefer to have their part-time job be something that isn't related to their art, because it gives them the peace of mind to like create freely. And that's sort of like my idea behind having multiple revenue streams, is like, you know, I'm not putting all my pressure on my original art, because like obviously like that's the most fun to make. I do like doing books and things like that, but by creating like multiple revenue streams, by keep trying to diversify. And that's really in anything in life, I feel like, whether you're a business owner, anything, by keep trying to diversify, you know, you're setting yourself up for success, and you're taking the pressure off. Like, the world is so crazy right now. The world is so crazy right now. And I mean, like, look at Russia, for example, you know. Obviously, like, worse things are happening in Ukraine, but for the creators in Russia that relied maybe on Instagram to sell their art or things like that, and like, look, I think like the majority of Russians don't even want this war, so I do like feel bad for them. Some people are like, oh, they're crying about like, you know, losing their Instagram, but like, look at people in Ukraine. But I don't think that like one sort of shitty thing takes away from another shitty thing. Like, I think there's people in Russia that don't want this war, and like are creatives and are suffering as well. But like, look at that. Like, you never know when like maybe something like that could happen. Like your internet could be shut down, or like, I mean, honestly, like even for me this year, I'm thinking like how to diversify even more, because, you know, a lot of my stuff is like online based. That's how I do a lot of like my réseau. So I'm like, well, maybe I should do more traditional art shows now that I have like my own sort of business and things like that. Like, I could actually use like the system and not manipulate, that's not the right word, but like use the system to get like grants and things like that. Like that could help as well. Like, there's, the more that you can diversify, the more that you can add revenue streams, the more you're building, like I said, yourself up for success. I think the most important thing is having the confidence in your vision to begin. And you're never too young. Oh my god, this is so bad that I used to do this. When I was young, I used to, if there was somebody whose career that I liked, I would look up them online, and if I saw that they were younger than me, I felt awful. And if I saw they were older than me, I was like, oh, well shit, I have time. No. If there's something you want to do, start now. Start today. No time like the fucking present. And because it's going to take time. It takes time. Like, I started my YouTube channel 4 years ago. I didn't have this connection with you guys right away. The people who, like, you know, are watching my videos. You know, I started selling my prints a year ago. I didn't have the savoir-faire. Like, I didn't realize at first how to I didn't realize like the business model. I, you know, started making art 8 years ago. I didn't have the tools then to make come to life my vision then. You know what I mean? So the earlier that you start, the better. So, I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching. I hope that this was interesting. Like I said, this is sort of like stream of consciousness. If you like these types of videos, maybe I can do more. If you have like specific questions around art, sort of like how to get started in the art world, things like that. I mean, like I said, I just finished school like a year ago, but I'm very determined. So I know that like no matter what, it's gonna work out for me, and it's gonna work out for you too if you have that vision. It's just like sometimes it can be a slow burn, and sometimes, you know, here's the thing. A lot of times we get opportunities that we're not expecting, but you want to be ready for that opportunity, you know? Success is when opportunity meets readiness. I don't remember if that's the quote, but you want to do everything on your side to create alternative ways of success. Look for the loopholes. Look for the ways that you can go outside of the box. Be creative because you're an artist, you know? Anyway, I really have to go. I'm going to go to that crepe place that I was fired from. Because that's where my friends want to go to eat. If you made it to the end, leave me a comment that says, all of my dreams are coming true. All of my dreams are coming true. All of my dreams are coming true. All of my dreams, all of my dreams, all of my dreams are coming true. Everybody! And I will see you guys next time. Bye!